So this now is not specific to to Wales and Plaid Cymru. This is going on to that where they're making us unsafe. This was published 2 days ago. This is from the Telegraph. Taliban fighters brought to Britain in airlift after data leak. So our government are now bringing Taliban to Britain. Afghans with British blood on their hands, living in UK after corrupt officials facilitated evacuation of jihadists from Kabul. So former Taliban fighters are living in the UK after being airlifted from Afghanistan on British Mercy flights. The jihadists were allegedly among thousands of people brought here for their own safety. So there you go. Before I even read the rest of this sentence, the government is more concerned with the safety of people who want to kill and enslave us, who killed and has blood on the hands of our soldiers, and the government are more concerned with their safety than yours and mine. Are you awake yet? Because they were on a leaked list of names of Afghans who had applied to come to the UK. Forgive me for not exactly caring too much when these people have British blood on their hands. Sex offenders, corrupt officials, and people imprisoned under the US-led coalition are also among those who have been accepted for resettlement in the UK in an apparent failure of vetting procedures. I don't even know if this is a failure, to be honest. I think all of this is being done by design. This is very similar on a more globalized scale of what happened in the USSR anyway, what happened in the early days of the Soviet Union when women had to be socialized, right? Where they're bringing sex offenders, foreign sex offenders to our country, right? There's no good reason for that whatsoever. Other than the reason they say this good, they want to normalize this. They want to brutalize people so much. That's what they did in the Soviet Union to women. The atrocities that the Red, it's not the Red Guard, it's, you know, the Red Army committed against women, right, deliberately, en masse. And it was to normalize by force this degenerate behavior, lawlessness, all of these things, right? If you want to know more about that, you have to subscribe to Daily Wire Plus. I know they're, kind of controversial saying that name with, who their leader is and their stance on the conflict in the Middle East and conspiracy theories and all of these things, and people getting, again, angry on social media, all of these things. But they have a really good series on there from Bill Whittle. It's called, I think it's called Empire of Terror. It's an 11-part series on the atrocities that were being committed in the Soviet Union from the Lenin Revolution onwards. And it was truly, truly awful things. Truly, truly awful things. I'll see if I can go get some examples for the next episode of some of the things that happened. There was a lady who was tortured by being gang raped up against a tree, I think for about 12 hours. And then she was tied to this tree, obviously. And then they set fire underneath her and was going to burn her to death. And then Bill Whittle said, mercifully, they shot her in the head before she was actually burned to death. But you had people like Laventry Beria, for example, who was the head of the NKVD at the time. He would send his NKVD agents out prowling the streets at night to kidnap women, take back to his residence so he could rape them. And then afterwards, when he would then load them back into the cars and take them back home with these NKVD agents, he would give them via his NKVD agents, a bouquet of flowers to make it seem somewhat consensual and normal. We're talking truly, truly evil. We're talking evil on the scale of what was going on in the Soviet Union and Maoist China and all of these things that is going on in the UK now. We just haven't seen the worst parts. Well, I suppose you could see we have seen the worst parts of it with the rape of Britain, with how many young girls were sacrificed on the altar of multiculturalism, right? We've seen it. We've seen the atrocities already, and it's only getting worse. It's only getting worse, and it's only going to get worse unless we all get on the same team, basically. Around 6,900 Afghans are being flown to the UK as part of Operation Rubific, the code name for the government's response to the 2022 data breach. In which case, again, if you need the context, the British official wrongly shared the personal details of 25,000 Afghans, who I believe, mind you, were already known to the Taliban at this point, and they were already sending out their death squads to try and find these people anyway. So it wasn't even so much as a leak. They already knew. They already had their death list. Applied to a relocation scheme for those who had fought with British forces during the war with Afghanistan. I've already said again, not exactly good people anyway, that we were aligned with, the rampant pederasts that they are, or worked as translators or in other support roles. Until this month, the High Court super injunction had prevented the media from reporting anything about the leak or the airlift. This is the biggest, as I said, one of now the biggest issues with regards to national security we've ever seen. As you know, I put an energy drink in my shaker and I mixed a bit of creatine with it. That's why I went pop. So I went pop when I shook it. Oh, it's nice. The reason I do that is I wanted to get a bit of sugar in there, so it helps with the creatine uptake. Anyway, the Telegraph reported earlier this month several cabinet ministers raised serious concerns about Operation Rubific because they're worried about national security, as many of us are, and the latest disclosures appear to justify their stance. According to multiple senior sources in Afghanistan, the evacuation process was infiltrated by individuals with Taliban connections who exploited the system and got fighters to the UK, including by naming Taliban fighters as family members and dependents who needed to join them here. It makes you wonder how many are also exploiting other means of getting here. Just reminded me, I want to go and bring this up for you, ladies and gentlemen, because there was an example of something that was going on with this. How many of them do you think are exploiting other routes to get here? So we have Taliban fighters here exploiting these routes off the back of this data breach to get here. We also, for example, this is reported by Robert Spencer. He posted this article yesterday. Iran to exploit North African asylum routes to infiltrate the UK with thousands of jihadis posing as asylum seekers. And the UK leftist globalist government intent on destroying British culture and national character will welcome them in. So he said here, and you can find this on the Jihad Watch website, ladies and gentlemen. According to an article published by Marco Giannangeli, I think that's how you say it, Express, Iran's migration jihad sees thousands of radicals sent to UK on weaponized routes. Iran is preparing to exploit North African asylum routes to infiltrate the UK with thousands of radicalized operatives posing as asylum seekers, a leading security analyst has warned. According to intelligence shared with European officials, Tehran has forged a strategic partnership with Algeria, using it as both a propaganda base and a transit hub for smuggling radicalized operatives into France, the UK, and beyond. At the center of this campaign is the Polisario Front, a separatist movement operating in Western Sahara. Long supported by Algeria, the group is now being co-opted by Iran and Hezbollah, according to, I don't know how to pronounce that person's name, Director of Research at the Forum for Foreign Relations. The group's ties to Hezbollah and the Islamic regime have been confirmed by intercepted communications and intelligence dossiers. So this is the thing. This is why people calling for like an overhaul of the asylum system, an abolishment of the asylum system, whatever it is. I don't even know if abolishment is a word. Abolishing of the asylum system. They're doing so because of reasons like this. They're doing so because we can see what's going on. We're seeing that foreign governments that are, in many ways, in this instance, pally-pally with our own, seemingly, whether they want to keep up the visual that they are actually opposed or not. They hate us as a people, mind you. They hate our government in the back of their mind, but they will use our government's weakness and hatred for our own people against us to smuggle their terror fighters in. And that's what we're seeing now. So that's why the people calling for an abolishing of the asylum system, they called far right, they called all of this stuff. No, they're concerned because we have literal terrorists masquerading as asylum seekers. That, mind you, if you're concerned with the safety of asylum seekers, which people fleeing persecution, yes, we should genuinely be concerned with. But again, with how much it's being weaponized, such as when you have Plaid Cymru MSs floating the idea of bringing 1.5 million Gazan refugees over. Bear in mind, we're only a country of 3 million people. We're only a country of 3 million people. That will be a hostile takeover. It's not this, but they don't care because they want the votes, right? But the weaponization of the asylum system then means that the people who actually need asylum are less likely to get it. They're actually less likely to get it. It's a big case like where people coming over people were making the case with the southern border in the USA, for example, with all these people weaponizing the border and coming over the border, actually making it harder for people who do want to not only legally emigrate to the US, for example, or legally immigrate to the US, but then also making it harder to discern people who genuinely need help. And that's what led to then their massive child sexual trafficking scandal, where I think it was floating around the idea that there was 325,000 children that were unaccounted for that had gone missing under Biden's open border policy. They're very likely being sold into sex slavery. And people want to make the thing that so much progress we've made. If you haven't watched the film, this is a little bit of a tangent. If you haven't watched the film Nefarious, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't watched the film Nefarious on Amazon Prime, wherever you can get it, go and watch it. The demon character, and what's the guy's name who plays Edward Wayne? What's the guy's name who plays Edward Wayne Brady? The actor's name. He puts in a fucking tremendous performance. Let me find him. Sean Patrick Flannery, or Flannery, however you say it. I do apologize, but Sean Patrick Flannery, Jordan Belfort, they are tremendous on screen together. So Sean Patrick Flannery is playing the guy that is possessed by the demon. He's this serial killer. And Jordan Belfort is this atheist, medical doctor, psychologist that's been brought in to determine whether he's going to be fit to stand execution. And just the chemistry that they have on screen, but not only that, the performance that Sean Patrick Flannery puts in for this demon character, who's known as Nefarious in the film, I believe his name is. He uses like a Phoenician dialect that hasn't been spoken for 3,500 years, but the closest you'll get in your dialect today is Nefarious. But just the social commentary in the film. And one of the biggest things, we have more slaves in the world today than we ever did at the height of the Roman Empire, all of these things, right? And half of them are like sex slaves. And there's so many other bits of social commentary in the film as well, and really shows how smart the devil is compared to us. Really shows how smart these spirits are compared to us. And that we think that we can go and tangle. We think we're so enlightened, and it really puts why pride is so damaging on full display. Go and watch the film; it's truly amazing. Even if you staunch atheist or whatever, I strongly advise you to go and watch the film just for the social commentary and just for the performance as well. But the biggest thing it highlights is there's evil in the world, and we cannot now see it even when it's right in front of our face, right? We cannot see the evils that are going on right in front of our face. And even though people that want to do good, a lot of the people that are on the side of the people supporting the actual destruction of our countries, because they want to do good, but you're putting your efforts in the wrong place. I promise you, putting your efforts in the wrong place. So please don't be deceived. Please don't be deceived. And you want to make sure your heart doesn't harden to people who actually need help and things like this. But evil forces and the people that, whether you think about evil or not, people in charge of these things do. So, for example, you might not be a devil-worshipping Satanist. You might just be a live and let live carefree atheist, right? Yes, okay, that's you. But the people who are bringing these things in are not that. The people who are bringing these things are not that. And you need to be concerned with what these people believe. And that's why, to an extent, we need to be concerned with what everybody believes. And that's why it's not just a live and let live, we're all in our own individual bubbles, carefree world. That's not the world that we live in, okay? Because whether you might, again, you had the people worshipping the big owl statue at Bohemian Grove, right? There are people in the world that believe this stuff, and they're the ones implementing this, and makes them wonder if maybe there is a greater evil than simply what's manifesting through us. That there's obviously going to be a cause of that, and then that leads you down some other deeper questions with regards to your entire worldview and stuff like that. But again, that's a massive tangent I just went on. But please understand that many people coming over, the vast majority of them, I would say, A, economic migrants, and B, potentially exploiting the system to actually get here and do us harm. We've seen enough rivers of blood already. I dare say we're going to see a lot more, thanks to our own government. So again, direct your anger. You don't need to necessarily direct your anger at any individual person, but you should be very angry at your government right now. You should be very angry at the government right now for the situation that they're putting you, your family, and your communities in. As an example, this was a flight, I believe it was to Scotland, and BBC and Sky News, I believe they've covered it now, but they didn't cover it at the time. It was a bomb threat incident on an EasyJet plane, and you had a man, I believe, of some kind of South Asian descent. I'm not exactly sure where he's from, and I believe this was on an EasyJet flight going to Scotland, and I believe he's screaming Allahu Akbar, saying he's going to. He says he's going to kill Donald Trump, kill Elon Musk. He's got a bomb. He's going to blow up the plane. Imagine how terrified you'd be. I don't care how much of a social justice warrior you are and how much you're concerned with, diversity, equity, inclusion, all of these things. Don't lie to yourself. And if you were in this situation, all of those, beliefs that you have would go out the window because you know exactly what this could lead to, what exactly it would likely lead to, and all of those things that you lecture people about being insensitive and everything like that would go out of the window in this moment. Video coming on screen now, ladies and gentlemen.
Going to bomb the plane. Death to America, death to Trump. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar.
No matter how much sensitivity training you've been through, don't lie to yourself and don't lie to anybody else and saying that you wouldn't be terrified. You wouldn't be terrified, and that you know exactly what this person means. You know exactly that this person is saying it because he believes it. They're not just saying this is some kind of joke. They're not just saying this is some kind of joke, right? So again, death to America, death to Trump. So again, this might not be in the UK. I've just heard some people saying that it was on a flight to Scotland. But again, these people don't care because they'll just say death to the West. Okay, all of these things. Magbar America. That's the phrase that they often chant. You hear it chanted all throughout some areas of Iran and stuff like that. But this is what I mean. This is indicative. This might just be one person, but this is indicative of a much wider problem. We just said that you potentially had, 6,900 odd Taliban fighters? I believe it was. The 6,900, I remember I said is referring to something else. I don't think it was, but you can go back and listen to this recording and see if it's not. But they might not have numbered the actual number of Taliban if they haven't got the numbers to go with. But again, imagine this. This is one incident. This is one person. And now we've got thousands of people sharing the sentiment coming in. You don't think we're going to see more Southports? You don't think we're going to see more horrendous attacks? Manchester Arenas, Lee Rigby's? You don't think we're going to see this? I promise you, unless we do something that we are